Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Good
Welcome.
morning.
How's everybody? Okay, where is okay, good. I see somebody lazy days ahead. Camo and bows. There you go. Good morning. I'm gonna give everybody a chance to get in here, but we're gonna get started. Lavender should be joining us at some point. Hi, Suzanne Goulet, Pike Creek Farm, Linda Hutchinson. Linda Hutchinson. Good morning. Hi, Cheryl Faulkner. Good morning to you. Good morning, everybody. All right, we're going to get started because this is a busy time of the year for gardeners, and it's canning season. So I have behind me probably hmm, maybe 200 cloves of garlic that we harvested this week. So I've got some work to do. Okay. I've got some family and friends that want some, but I've got to preserve some, and I've got a garlic video coming out. So I've just got a lot going on. Annie's Kitchen and Urban Homestead, good morning. Cindy has it all is in the house. All right now. I like that, Cindy. Tell me about it. I want it. I haven't figured out how to have it all. Hello, Ori Ebner. I know. Thank you for all the people coming over from Mennonite Farmhouse and Kettle Kitchen. I was about to say Mennonite Kitchen.
That'd be a new one. That might be
Yeah,
my next
Or
channel. No, I'm just kidding.
or you could have went Kettle Farmhouse, right?
I like that. Hi, Sherry Braxton. Good morning, my friend. Good morning, everybody. All right, y'all. I don't know if I have a moderator in here.
Excuse
Let
me.
me see where. Let me see.
I
Well,
know on mine or LeAnne's we do have Jesse putting stuff in, it looks like. So
I just have Lisa. I don't have Jesse yet.
okay. Jesse's over on mine, so between the two of them, at least on our ends, they're putting stuff out. I can't see your chat, Carla, so I'm not
yeah.
positive.
Well, it's all right. It I don't have. I hope Lavender shows up, but in any case, let's get started, everybody. I'm going to go over some house rules with everyone. First of all, for those of you who are joining us from our other channels, welcome to Time to Grow. Thank you for being here. Me and my husband own an urban farm and nursery in Virginia Beach, Virginia. So we grow a lot of our own food and we grow food for the community. We believe that food preservation is foundational and that anyone can grow their own food, whether in small spaces or large. So don't feel that just because you don't have a farm or you don't have land that you can't grow food. You can grow food and you don't have to have land to grow food. Just a little update, just a little housekeeping about today. We did have a guest scheduled today, Cassandra from Becoming a Farm Girl. Our friend had a conflict today, and we all know how that is. Life happens. We've got to support each other. We've got to be flexible. So Cassandra's going to join us next week, and you will be in for a treat. But we already had a panel of fantastic guests and who I call friends here today to talk about, to continue our discussion about safe and responsible canning. And that's what we've been talking about the entire month of June. So we're going to do a recap about everything we talked about. First, we're going to get into a few house rules for everybody who is here. I understand as I started this canning series, I realized that I didn't know this before, but I know that now there's a lot of debate within the canning community about what's right and what's not. And some people have ideas about what they did and what they've always done. We're not here to tell you you're wrong. If you're listening or you're in the chat, that's not what we're here for. What we're here for, our purpose for doing this series was because I wanted to learn. We're growing a lot of food and I wanted to know how to preserve it. Now, even if you're buying your food from the grocery store, responsible ways to preserve your food and make it stretch and make it go further is what everybody needs to be doing right now. This situation in the stores are not going to improve, but we can make the best of it by learning and how to do things for ourselves to make our own situations better, rather than being afraid or listening to the headlines about this or that. Let's take some action. And this is a tried and true method that has been employed for decades upon decades. And so we now have some standards that we can follow. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Safe and responsible canning practices based on a standard that everyone can learn from and go from. If you don't agree, we're not here for debating. We're just sharing what we believe is a standard practice for canning. So we'll get into our house rules here. If anyone's new to our home, welcome to our home. We love you. We're glad you're here. We only have very simple rules. Be clean, wipe your feet before you come into anybody's house. Everybody does that. Be clean, be kind. It takes way less energy. Just it to be pleasant and respectful to one another. Be courteous. So let's respect each other. If you don't necessarily agree with what's been discussed today, or you do it a different way, that doesn't mean that you're wrong or that there's something wrong with what you're doing. That's your business. Okay. All we're doing here is learning how to be safe and responsible in canning. And I have two wonderful guests here who are here to talk about this. So I'm going to get into letting our guests introduce themselves. And for those of you who are new to my channel, please come over and join our YouTube family. We would love your support. We would love you to subscribe to our channel. We're going to continue to be providing this type of quality content for our family, things to help you grow and cook and preserve your own food. I've got a garlic and onion video coming out. Well, my onion video will come first, and then a garlic video is coming next, showing people how to easily grow these type of foods. I mean, who doesn't love garlic? Like, I just live for garlic.
Vampires.
Lazy Days Ahead, I appreciate you dropping my link in the chat. I appreciate you. If I could figure out a way to make someone in the chat a moderator, I would, but I'm not trying to do that right now and blow
It's really
up.
easy.
Is it?
Yes, the three dots on their name on the right-hand side. You just click on the tab that says Make Moderator.
Oh.
Light bulb moment. There we go.
Man, you're awesome. You're awesome.
I'm here to help.
Now, let me see. Now, on mine, like in Restream, now, are you talking about in the YouTube chat?
Yes, in the
You have to
chat.
be in the YouTube. Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm going to do that from a different, I'm going to have to do it.
You can do it from your phone.
Oh.
Wow, another light bulb moment. See?
Without LeAnne right now. Okay. So while I'm doing that,
I've been around the block maybe a year, you know.
And I've been doing this for 4 weeks, maybe. So yeah, y'all are way ahead of the game. Psalm 146, good morning. I'm going to come back and greet everyone. I'm going to give our guests a chance to introduce themselves. So if you've been with us every week, our friend Tony from Kettle Kitchen has been here with us, supporting us, and we appreciate him so much. So I'm going to let our newest guest introduce herself, and then I'm going to let everyone who's new to here also hear from our friend Tony, talking about his journey and how we came to be here. So our wonderful guest, LeAnne from Mennonite Farmhouse, is joining us. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Most of the people here know you, actually, and I appreciate the people coming in to support all of us in this canning journey. We are all a family. So let's make sure that we stay connected, we stay together beyond this chat today. I'm happy to meet new people. In fact, I forgot something very important. That way we can meet each other. And then we're going to jump to LeAnne. Okay, let me do that real quick. Let's put Nightbot to work in the chat, guys. So how we do that is if you want to share your channel link, all you need to do is type "Let's Grow" one word in the chat. That way you can share your channel link. And then if you want to get a good laugh, let's put Nightbot to work and type in "joke," and you'll get a joke from Nightbot. So "Let's Grow" to share your link, and "joke" to get a laugh. Okay?
And
so
if I can add, my moderator, he has his own jokes. So
what?
He's a mod father, and we have to say Happy Father's Day to our mod father. So Mod
Who's
Father Day.
who's the
Just
mod father?
I have Jesse from Lazy Days Ahead, and you need to check out his channel because he supports the community.
Lazy Days was one of our winners.
Oh, so you already know Jesse and
Yep.
Lisa.
I do. I don't know if we're connected, Jesse and Lisa, but I'm about to make y'all a moderator. I hope that you don't mind, but y'all are
Yeah,
amazing.
he likes to be asked.
Oh,
And
well, I'm not.
most you should like ask people, and you need to trust them before you make them a mod
You
because they
do.
have control of your channel.
Well, he came recommended by Tony, but I never had a chance to talk to him directly. So I'll send him an email
Yep.
outside of the chat. Today, we're just going to roll with what we've got. All right. So let's get to it. LeAnne,
Well,
it's a little bit about you.
if you're new to my channel, I do cooking and baking from scratch, canning and dehydrating videos, and anything else that might go around the kitchen island. And I've just ventured out to doing videos in my garden because people have this idea that my garden is going to be unicorns and rainbows and everything grows right and we don't have any problems just because we're farmers, you know? And my husband's grandfather used to be a produce farmer down in Baltimore. So my husband has skills, but we still have our problems.
Yes.
So I like to show that on my channel. And so, yeah, we have a farm of 400 acres. Then my husband also rents another 450 acres. And we make hay to sell. And we usually drive that to Maryland or Virginia. So he's hauling. He does grains like oats, and he usually sells those to Amish up in Amish country. And he grows corn, and he's a very busy man. And me, I like to quilt in my spare time if there is any. And I'm trying to do quilts for veterans, for Quilts of Valor. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do a channel, because my husband says we can't eat fabric. So if I want to buy fabric, I have to find another way to pay for it. And I've been canning since I've been able to stand beside my mom and actually debubble green beans. So when I was growing up, we did 100 quarts of sweet corn, 100 quarts of green beans, sour cherries, peaches. One year we bought or had 48 tomato plants, and she tried to grow it or make everything possible. Yes. I'm still trying to figure out her garden salsa recipe. I don't think it's a tested recipe, but you know, it looks safe. But no. But anyway, that's how long I've been canning.
Wow.
And my mom always worships the Baal Bobluk. So I don't know about other Mennonites that do all this crazy stuff that they've been taught.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. I'm so happy you're here. We're going to get into a deep dive with this today, talking about the different canning methods. After we introduce Tony, I'll do a recap from our past sessions, and then we'll jump right into the content. Then I'm going to greet everyone in the chat. And again, I thank everybody for being here. Tony?
So my journey's a lot different than LeAnne's. I am a city kid, grew up, did my thing, didn't worry about anything, didn't worry about cooking. And it was one of the worst mistakes I ever made, because as I got older, I realized I loved it. I loved cooking. And over time, I probably think from like 2010 on, I started really getting the itch to can. Petrified, scared, and unsure of myself, I went through YouTube, tried to figure out what I could, tried to look online to see what I could find. And slowly, but very rapidly, I know that's a contradictory set of terms, but it was like in the starting, it took me 3-4 months. But then once I did, I started looking, and this is not the safe way to do it. This is not the way you should do it. Started looking into resources and stumbled along the USDA's complete guide to home canning, and realized what I'm watching on YouTube isn't the correct way to do it. So I went through a process in that first year, And I went back and looked, and I think it was in the first year we did. My numbers are all confusing to me. I think it was 900 jars of food.
Mhm.
And in our second year, we did, I think it was 1,200 jars of food. And then over the next year, I had to slow down because I had so much food. I didn't have a need to redo because I had done so much. So in the first 3 years, in the end of it, we ended up doing 2,300 jars. Most of those were pint jars. There were some smaller and a couple bigger, but that's beside the point. As I really got into it and started watching what I was doing, and of course the big 2020 incident, I realized I needed to find a way to put more food up for my family for the in case something happens.
Yeah.
Started to do the garden. Actually planted some stuff, and it was one of my biggest failures. So I'm here to tell everybody, just because you try it doesn't mean it does happen, but you got to be persistent. So
yes.
Anyways, I tried to figure out ways to go through and do it regardless if I had it or not, or if I had to go to the store to buy it, or if, because we have a couple farms around here you can get product from. We just started looking at it that way. Anyways, got a hold of some people, LeAnne being one of them, and just started asking questions. How do you start a channel? Because I thought, I want to memorialize this stuff for my family, so my kids and others that keep coming to me for recipes would have an access to the way I do things. And then as I got into the conversation and really started looking at it, I fell in love with the community. The community took me in, and it's just been a growing process ever since. And as a matter of fact, I now, as of yesterday I finished, I now have stuff in the garden and it's growing. So
yay! What are you growing?
As of right now, we're on a good thing. So I have green onions, I have marigolds, I have green peppers, I have tomatillos, I have LeAnne's gonna laugh because she thinks it's funny. I have a single tomato plant. I also have coleus. I have gladiolas. And then my wife for Father's Day bought me a bunch of wild strawberry plants and rosemary yesterday. So I've got those in now.
Beautiful. And speaking of Father's Day, happy Father's Day to all the dads represented in the chat. I'm going to go through and greet everyone. Hi, Mouse Toes. Good morning.
Oh, now we're all in trouble.
Hey there, Homesteading with a Purpose. How are you doing? Lazy days ahead. Thank you for your wonderful support of moderating and just bringing the other channels in to help. I don't know what happened today. I hope my moderator is all right. Kathleen Elliott, how are you? Good morning. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Tanya Logan, Diane the Canning Nana. Good morning. A lot of these names are new to me. If we're not connected, please come over and subscribe. Let's stay connected in this community. Because what I learned from this whole journey, starting this month, was meeting the people from the canning community that weren't necessarily growing food, but were interested in preserving their food. But then the gardening community and the canning community really are a family because we can learn from each other. Learning how to grow your own food, sourcing your food as close to home as possible is always going to be the best way to ensure that you get the best quality food. If you can do it yourself, that is ideal. If you can't, then sourcing it as close to home as possible is also the best alternative. So, we are always preaching this: grow your own food, grow your own food. One of our purposes in life, or at least my purpose in life, is to not only teach people how to grow their own food, but also help them protect the land upon which they're growing food. Because that's I call my day job as a real estate attorney. So my passion for growing food and also helping people preserve their land intersect. So I am happy that my professions kind of collide and they complement each other. That I can stay true to what I believe, even in my my work day work versus the work that what I call my 24/7 work here at home. So I'm really passionate about being here and sharing and meeting you all and learning and meeting these new people and new connections. So let me go through and greet everybody that I missed. If I missed anyone, please just know, sorry about that. You are all welcome. We're all happy you're here. Hi, Barb Brownlee. Good morning. Urban Girl, Gardening and Lifestyle. Good morning. Good morning, family. How you doing? Suburban Homesteader, Wyoming to Arizona. Good morning. Kathleen Elliott. Good morning. Hey, Trauma Mama. All right, G Mama Grows. Hey, hey there. I see people are dropping night chats in the Rita Hunter. I love that. Thank you, Rita. That's very sweet. She said, knowledge is powerful, and this is so much nicer than fear videos. I appreciate all of you for sharing your knowledge. I've been canning for over 50 years, but I'm always learning new techniques. Amen. Amen, Rita. That's the truth. Mom, similar to you, LeAnne, my mom also did canning, but she passed away when I was young. So I remember it, but I didn't grow up watching that because she was gone by the time I was 8.
Mm.
So I didn't have it, but I have that memory of eating the foods from these jars and never being sick. So I think she must have been doing something right. And I had a desire to learn that, but I didn't have a chance for that tradition to be passed down to me. So now I want to learn the proper way, and I want to pass that tradition on to my kids. I'm hoping my daughters are adults. I don't have any children at home, but I'm hoping that the videos that I make and the things that I do in my life, how I live my life, is passed on to them, including how I safely preserve food. So, Trauma Mama, you're with me. I'm with you. I'm new to Canon just like you, and I don't know anything, but we're here to learn today. Now, I noticed in the chat, Tony, what were you about to say something?
Do you have an agenda for today? Because if not, there is something I'd like to talk about, but I'll wait until you're ready for that. I wasn't sure what your
Yes.
discussion
Well,
was about today.
Well, the first thing, hey Chine Moss Farm. I'm making sure I didn't miss anybody in the chat. 805 Barbecue Junkie. I love these names. Pike Creek
Mhm.
Farm. Wonderful. This is
Yeah.
wonderful people I have not met. First time, Chine Moss. Did I already say hi? But anyway, I can say hi again.
So it
Um,
looks like you're getting a lot from mine and LeAnne's local community
Psalm
hopping in here.
146. And I
So
appreciate it. I love it.
yeah.
I love everybody that's here. For you who are new to our channel, welcome. Okay, so Tony, go ahead and mention what you were going to talk about. I do have an agenda in that I'm going to recap what we did and send everyone to the replays for those, and then get into basic canning methods. We touched on water bath canning last week. We're going to get into that a little bit more, but really talking about pressure canning. And I'm going to hear from LeAnne about her safety tips, and I'll have some questions. We'll take questions from the chat. So that's pretty
Okay.
much how we're going to work it today.
Okay. You're good.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so go ahead.
Oh, okay. So one thing, and please, before I even start, I don't want anybody to take this as a scare tactic or a freak out or anything like that. Okay. One of the things, and at least over on Bobby and Sherry's chat, and then a couple times since I've been here with you, we've had the discussion about botulism. And
Mm-hmm.
botulism is something to be worried about. But here's something after a discussion I had with another YouTube channel content creator. There's two things prevalently that are out there that we do not discuss on a regular basis. We don't talk
Mm-hmm.
about salmonella and we don't talk about E. coli. Those are also
Okay.
bacteria that can grow, but majority of the time that's from improper food, safe food handling. You're not washing your food, you're not washing your hands, you're not making sure you've cleaned everything. That's
Mm-hmm.
just as important as making sure your jars are sterilized and all that, because the last thing you want to do is put that into a jar that's been sterilized and then you have a problem. But all I'm trying to say is that there is other things out there, And the whole process from harvesting or obtaining it, however you do that, to the point you put it in on your shelf at the end, everything's done. Those
Mhm.
processes are set out there for that reason. So wash your
Yes.
food, wash your hands, wash your counters, make sure your workspace is clean. LeAnne and I were talking, and she had even mentioned at one point, and she did it in her video. When she does chicken, she puts a cookie sheet underneath the cutting board to catch anything so it doesn't go onto her counter, to make it a cleaner, safer process. There's things we can
Beautiful.
do that we don't think about, that, I mean, like, that is a very common sense approach to it. So, I mean, just
Yeah.
use our heads. So,
And I
sorry.
was so
Mm-hmm.
and with that video, I was so surprised that people were like blown away that I just simply put that cookie sheet underneath my cutting board. And they were like, why don't you wash your chicken? And they just couldn't get the concept. You don't want to spread what actually might be on that chicken to begin with and go over your, your sink, and because you're not thinking about sanitizing that sink or anything like that. So you gotta just keep it all together there on that cutting board and underneath that cutting the cookie sheet.
Okay. Well, we're going to touch on that if you would take us through a process, pressure canning process, what you do for something simple. If somebody was new to pressure canning, what would you recommend they start with, and what would the steps be? So that's what we're going to get into in a minute. But first, I'm going to recap what we've talked about over the past couple of weeks, and also bring up something very important that me and Tony got into earlier this week, and also which Lazy Days brought up in the chat. I'm going to try to find that comment because it was excellent, and I want to really talk about that. If I missed anyone who's come in, good morning, everybody. I'm sorry if I missed you. I'm just trying to stay on task and not have us here all day. That's right, Grandma. G Mama Grows, wash your hands. That's it. Okay, I don't see it right now. It's been a lot of chat going on, but this is what we've been talking about this week. That is the USDA canning guide, that the newest version. You want to make sure that whatever canning guide you're using, it is the most recent version of the USDA book, which I understand is updated every 10 years. So I noticed this.
Hold on. It's not that it is updated every 10 years. It's that the canning community agrees that nothing more than 10 years is acceptable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for clarifying that.
Right.
Now, the latest version has 2015 on the cover. Let me find my book. But they're on Amazon. This is important.
Here, there's mine.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you. On Amazon, that book, you notice, Tony, doesn't have the red writing underneath on your book.
It doesn't. You are correct. Yep.
So
right here is where she's talking about, right in there.
Now, is this the book that would be $8.95 on Amazon versus the $14? Is that so? That's the one they should not be getting, right? Yes. Okay. Let me grab my book real quick.
I believe that's in my Amazon store.
Oh, okay. LeAnne, can you put your link to the
Yeah, I think Jesse can do that for me.
Okay.
Because I have all the right books that you should have versus the Ball books, the National Center for Human Preservation's book, and Pinona Peckman's book that they have out.
Right.
I don't put any book there that I've been told that is a little shady.
So good. So this is great. Tony, if you hold up your book, because this is going to be a perfect example for anyone listening and watching. Tony's book looks different from my book. Do you see? I'm holding up my book and Tony has his book up. The difference is that this language right here under the home canning is not on Tony's book. Does everyone see that? Mm-hmm. So right here, there's additional language that Tony does not have on the book he's holding up. This version is the most updated version of the USDA canning guide book. And if you go into the description on Amazon, it will show a September 2021 revision. That's how you know that this is the latest version of the book. Another thing that you will see is that this book is $14, and the book that Tony, at least the one I saw on Amazon, was $8. Do not buy the less expensive book. So, and rather than even worrying about whether, look for this language underneath, look for 2015, revised 2015 with this language. Look for that in, and then, and make sure it's $14.
I thought the 2020 version was the newest.
No, what they did is they went through. So the book that Carla has is what's called a historical revision, and it's the latest one. But I think it's the one that actually includes the increase of the headspace for chicken actually written in it.
Okay.
But the historical version typically only means they went through and said, here's the reason why I did this, or the editor's notes or things like that. That typically is what it's for. But it's the newest something. But it's the newest revision. And so on what Carla said just a few minutes ago, that now buys us until 2031 technically within the canning community to be able to use that book minus any major revision. So again, it's back to you doing your research. You got to follow up. Has there been any revisions to it? Because you're not going to know unless you go buy another book that's been republished. So
does LeAnne, the book that I held up, LeAnne, is that the book that you use? Does it look like this?
I use the website.
Oh, okay.
Tony was supposedly sending me one, but the postal service isn't the greatest thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then
I did send it and it came back. Sorry, I did send it, but it came back that they were unable to deliver it. So I'm not sure what's going on with it, but
I don't know. Anyway.
So what I was going to say though, in addition, sorry, I just one more thing, because mine is not the newer one. I do exactly what LeAnne said. I go to the website, look up the recipe, because if there is any changes, they will update those recipes. That's what I actually utilize, but I reference this information and then I go back and do my research and make sure, has the recipe changed? Has anything been added or anything like that?
Yeah, the website does stay up to date, as somebody just asked.
Okay, great. I appreciate it. Thank y'all for that clarification. I believe, and I appreciate you, Jesse and Lisa, the mod father has graciously agreed to help me in my moderator journey. So I am forever grateful to Jesse and Lisa for that. I thank you. So we're going to recap what we've covered on the last couple of meetings or sessions that we've had, and then we're going to get into today's topic. Okay, so just a real quick recap. If you missed the past couple of sessions, the videos are up on my channel. But week one, we focused on getting supplies to get started, the basics. And what we talked about at length was this USDA canning guide and the website, which is a great resource for getting the most up-to-date information. All of that information will be in the chat for you. Please take advantage, make sure that you're using the most recent version of the book. You may have, for sentimental reasons, have your grandma's canning book, but I wouldn't use that as the most recent information for safe practices. So just make sure that you have the most recent information you're working with. Week two, we talked about, reiterated what you needed for supplies, the different types of supplies. We got into canning methods, talking about water bath and steam canning. So today, we're going to really take a deeper dive into pressure canning, but we'll still talk about water bath, but we kind of touched on that more last week. And we have LeAnne here, who's done it all and has been doing it for years. So I'm excited to hear from her to take us through your canning processes and what you recommend for best practices. And you can go back and forth between the two methods. If they overlap, then by all means, just, point that out. But we're looking forward to hearing from you.
Okay. Well, if my stove would have had the right time, I would have actually brought up my two pressure canners, because there's a difference between the Presto models and the All-American models. And what I would recommend for you when you ask which canner do I buy, because Prestos are cheaper and they also need more maintenance, as
Mhm.
in buying a gasket every 2 years or 3 years, depending on how often you can. And I found out for me it's 2 years because that's how much canning I do. And you got to
Mhm.
make sure that gasket is not dried out and anything else. But the All Americans, they don't have, it's metal on metal, so you don't have to worry about that. And my canner is 80 years old, and it's
Mm.
probably going to outlast me. My mom said, "Oh, my aunt used to can in one of those," and
Mm.
my mom's almost 80. So
Mm.
that being said,
What kind of canner is that?
it's
That
an All
one.
American.
Yes, that's
They
my.
might be $400 right now, but that's the
Yes.
only canner you're going to need.
Yes, that's the one I'm getting. I've just said I'm gonna go for it. Just make.
And people ask what size canner,
Yeah.
and it just, for pressure canning, I like to have two. That
Okay.
way you can move them in and out. And
Mhm.
if you're crazy like me and have like 4 or 5 goes in the same day, it's easier that way, just to have one coming down from pressure and one, on the stove, going up.
Mhm.
So that being said, yeah, have two pressure
Which
canners.
can I throw out real quick? For new canners, I wouldn't recommend doing that. Get used to the process before you
Oh
do
yeah,
that. But she's got a smart. She does it the smart way. So
Okay.
yeah. It's you want to make the process go efficiently and
she does
not.
it the smart way. So
I don't
Okay.
know. Re-
I'm sorry. That was
Backlash.
me.
That's all right. That's all right.
Mhm.
I'm just like,
I was trying to go in the chat real quick, but I'm okay. I'm sorry.
that's all right. Now I'm gonna think of what I was talking about here. So,
You said you get two types and to go back and forth, and then Tony was like, "Well, for us
oh,
starting out,
sizes. There's
yeah."
different sizes. Like I have the All American that's only well, it's 15 and a half quart, but now they make a 16 quart. That
Mhm.
only will do like 10 pint jars or 7 quarts tops.
Okay.
I like it because it actually comes up to the same pressure as my 23 quart at the same time if I turn the burners on at the same time, because there's less um, capacity for steam. Steam will get busier faster.
Mhm.
Then there's the 23 quart for Presto and All American, and the Presto can fit 20 pints in it, depending on what size pints you have. I
Mhm.
like that for when I have a lot, and then you just don't want the size jar. You just don't want that much in it. Like for sweet corn, we don't go through that much sweet corn. Now I'm regretting putting it all in quarts. But if you were to, it would be faster if you did 20 pints instead of 7 quarts, right? So you got to keep that in mind. But
Okay.
you got to think of how much you're going to eat in one sitting, and if you're going to really want that second meal, if enough for 4 servings, and there's only
Mm.
two of you. So
Mm.
and All Americans actually have a canner that you can put 14 quarts in, but you
Wow.
got to make sure your stove can handle that weight.
Mhm.
And if you really need it, I personally would never even think to get it, especially with my stove. It's going like this already with all the canners.
Yeah. So that
So
you picked up a very important point for those who may not have missed the prior sessions. You need to make sure that the stove you're using is able to support or handle the weight and or capacity for the canner you're using. So if you have what's called a ceramic top stove, I believe the ones that don't have the burners, are they called glass top or whatever, the stoves that don't have, I have a gas stove and I think I'm good for pretty
mhm.
much most canners. But I know that they're the smooth top stoves. I'm probably using the wrong word, the ceramic top. And then you have your traditional electric stove. So you want to make sure, can you hear me?
It's Tony.
yeah,
Oh,
I was just telling you it's glass top or induction. That's what they're called.
oh, right. Those
Right.
type of stoves have certain requirements as far as what type of canner you want to use. So you want to do your research about the best type of canner for your equipment, for what you have at home.
Yeah,
Is that
gas is a dream. My husband
yes?
won't let me have, because I have an older coil stove, and the newer coil stoves have a safety feature on it. So
Mhm.
I wouldn't even think about buying one of those stoves now, because unless you were actually there are special burners you can actually buy
Mhm.
that lift your canner off the stove if you have electric coils, and I think they're like $42. I probably should
Mhm.
just buy one.
Yeah.
Well, if you notice over there, real quick, if you notice, Jesse is dropping a ton of links in the chat there about the
Yes.
heat induction, the altitude levels, elevation levels, canning recipes. I would encourage anybody to look at those links because that's going to have a lot of information for you.
So let's talk about that. You mentioned, so we talked about the right type of knowing your stove, knowing the proper canner for your stove. Let's talk about elevation, because in the canning guide, if I were to just starting out new today and I get this guide and I say, okay, I'm going to read this and try to understand it, will it teach me about elevation, or should I go
Yes.
to the website?
No.
So is the necessary first step?
No,
to
I'm
read
sorry.
the-
Go ahead. You weren't done.
Oh, no, that's okay. Would you all recommend that someone read a book like this or go to the website and actually just read about this information that we're talking about today? Is supplemental to your own research about canning. We want to point you in the right direction. We want to give you the tools you need to discover what's right for you for canning. That's what we're doing here. So there are lots of resources being dropped in the chat for you to explore. LeAnne?
I would not just read that book once. I would read it like 5 times. Excuse me.
Yes.
Like, make sure you understand it.
Yes.
I need to go get a drink. I'm sorry. I'll be right
No,
back.
please take care of yourself.
I'll jump into where she's saying right there.
I hate
There's
when I get
quite
that dry,
Yeah.
little dry thing in my throat. I hate that.
The a lot of people, and I actually hear them say it in conversations, and I've even seen videos of people doing it. Not only will they have their book right next to them, they'll have their tablet loaded with the National Center for Home Food Preservation website already up, so they can do a quick reference that way. I mean, it really does come down to what you're saying, is that we're just showing you what to do and how to get there, but you got to do your own research. To answer your question, in this book, whether it's my book or your book, but the point, it's the USDA book, almost all of your recipes out there will be based on a 0 to 1,000 foot altitude or elevation. Okay.
Yeah.
You need to look and see what is the increment increase to what your elevation or altitude is. Mine specifically, I'm so close to 2,000 feet that I have to adjust for that off of everything I read out of any of the books.
And so how do we find out what our proper elevation is? Do you go to a
So
website
if you go,
for that?
you go to one of the links that Jesse showed in here, it'll ask you for your zip code, and it'll tell you what your elevation is right at that zip code.
So basically, all you have to do is Google that. What's my elevation?
You could do that as well. Yes.
Okay.
This book, the back, you need to read that.
Yes, I love that. What's that name? Is that on your Amazon store?
Yes. I mean, it's in most of the ball books, but the back of that,
I've got
starting on 409,
Mm-hmm.
it talks about everything you need to know, like headspace and spoilage things and the equipment. What is the difference between water bath canning and pressure canning?
Carla, I think you're getting spammed.
I know, I'm working on it right now.
And right here, it'll tell you about altitude. Right here, this whole page.
Okay. Oh, see, that's what, again, what we're doing here, I'm working, I've got somebody in the chat I'm working on, y'all. Oh, shit. I cussed. Sorry. I'm trying to block it. I'm cussing. I'm sorry. They'll probably.
Jesse can't get into it because it's not in yours.
I don't know how to. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know if one of the moderators can get them, but I can't. I'm having problems.
Jesse can't get into yours. Yep.
Can you make Houston as a mod?
Let me go. I have to try to go in and moderate. Make people. See, Lazy Days has already got the blue. I'm in my chat right
He,
now.
he's got he's got a blue wrench from LeAnne's and from mine. If you can have him or Mouse Toes hop over into your chat specifically,
Yeah,
you
They'll
can
have me
make
come
them a
over.
moderator.
Yep.
Mouse Toes is willing to do it. I trust her with my life.
Yeah.
I would
Yes.
absolutely make her a moderator for sure. I can't. I'm trying to block this person. I
And
can't.
it won't let you because you're active is why, I think.
Hey, Belt Loop 29. I cannot believe we got a.
Yep.
They say you've made it if you've got a
Yeah,
a
you made it. Congratulations.
Yes. Yay.
We'll celebrate it. Let's be
That's good.
positive.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. If somebody comes over to my chat, I'll make them a moderator. Mouse
Jesse's
Toad.
saying he's here.
Diane
But
the
you
Canning
need-
Nana
you
can
need-
help as well, she said. She's also
You just
Okay.
need to make him a
person that-
mod.
Thank you, Diane.
Yeah.
Okay, so in my
Jesse said
chat,
he's in it.
okay, so I'm looking at.
Oh,
I'm in
now
the
I
chat.
got him. I got him in mine as well now.
Okay, I'm trying to. So if I click on the person on my phone, I can make them a moderator.
Yeah. And
Yes.
the 3 dots. There's a
I
couple
don't see-
options there.
I don't have 3 dots.
On
Help
the
me, Lord.
right side, you have to
It's got
tap on their name first.
Tap on their name and 3 dots will pop up. Oh, Grace Under Fire hopped in on mine and took care of mine, so that's good.
I'm gonna make a few people here my mods too that I could trust with my life, even though I got Jesse.
I may have to try to do it on the desktop. It's not letting me do it on the computer. So, Laura, can you, LeAnne, start talking about what we chatted about? I'm going to put you on to talk
Yes.
about that and try to go behind and figure this out. Okay.
Yeah. Well,
All
somebody
right.
asked me what the name of this book is. This is the complete book of home preservation.
Okay.
There's-
I'm gonna put you guys on, and I want y'all to just talk while I try to get this mod thing figured out.
Yeah, you do you.
Okay.
We'll take
right.
care of you.
Thank you.
All right. So I want to go back to Lisa's question that she had earlier about canning tuna from 2016. As long as you have a proper seal on your jar and you hear the vacuum pop when you open the jar, that is safe to eat. If it doesn't have a proper seal, toss it. But anything that is in a proper sealed jar will last a long time. The nutritional value will go down a little bit, but it's still good food.
I think that's what's important is what you're getting to, and that goes along with the practice of checking your jars and your lids on a regular basis. Because if they come up and unseal, or you're noticing a smell in your pantry room or something, you'll be able to stop that hopefully before you get to the point of where you consume it if it is bad. But I do agree with you. So,
all right. So let's go back to what we were talking about with pressure canning. With pressure canning, you want to make sure your canner is clean before you even start. You want to make sure your blowhole is clean and no debris in that. You want to make sure your seal is in good repair. And if you have an All-American, make sure it's well greased where the metal touch together, because we know that can be a bad experience. And make sure you even grease your little screws sometimes. And then make sure you know where your weight is before you start. I've always remembered my mom being frantic. Where's my weight? I make sure I have a dedicated spot for my weight. And I've seen a YouTube channel actually put it on a string. So I'm not sure and put it on the handle, but she leaves a string on. So I don't know if it's me being a worrywart that little bit of weight on that string would.
But what is it for? I didn't catch what it was for.
The weight that goes on your canner. She has it tied to a string to the handle.
Oh, so she doesn't lose it, basically.
Yeah, but do you think that little bit of weight would matter with the pressure?
I don't think it would be. I don't think so, because I think it's an air pressure thing that you're dealing with, not weight pressure. if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because
So-
because you've got to remember your dial gauge is based off of PSI, so that's what it is. It's the air
Yes.
pressure inside. So yeah.
And so you want to check with your manufacturer on your pressure canner how much water to put inside. That's a very common question that YouTubers get. How much water do I put in my canner? You have to go back to your manual. Mine is 3 quarts. And Tony would put vinegar in his water because he doesn't like hard water on his canning jars.
Right.
Me, I just
Right.
rather wash them at the end because I don't want rusty rings because it will discolor your rings to begin with. So I'm going to leave that up to you guys what you prefer. But that's our 2 opinions.
Right. I do agree with it, and I use it because of the hard water. That's exactly why I use it, because mine does a little different, because I know that I heard somebody one time said it's no big deal, just wash it off. Mine gets really hard that it cakes on there. I got to sit there and scrub it. So I just put the vinegar in to save that headache later down the road. But there's different ways to do it, and it's not a deal changer or breaker or anything like that. I want to say thank you to the mods, because it looks like it's been taken care of, and I appreciate that. And
Yeah, we
I've had quite
appreciate
a few people jump in that have done what they needed to, so I appreciate that.
So I think I've got everybody squared away. It's easier on the computer to add the mods. It didn't want to do it from my phone. I didn't have time to try to work that out. But you know what I've learned from this whole thing is that this live stream life, sometimes things just don't work out. And I'm appreciative of the YouTube family that hangs in there with us while we're working through our stuff. They hang out, they support us. And that's why I love this community so much. This was a perfect example. I had an issue, but I knew I had my people here with me. I had my people, and y'all took care of it. That's what it's about. And I can't wait to meet some of y'all in person, because I think some of us are going to HOA. I
Tony, stop.
My friends, so Cassandra and LeAnne are going to be there. Cherie and Bob from the homestead. I'm so excited. Very, very excited. So I think I've got some folks helping us out in the chat.
Excuse me.
I was listening, and I'll let y'all keep going. I just wanted to jump in the chat and thank everybody for being here. Belt Loop 29, Princess Pamela's World. Oh, HOA, Princess Pamela. That is the Homesteaders of America conference. And they, this year, I don't know if you all follow Justin Rhodes on YouTube, but he is a homesteader out. I think he's in Virginia. But anyway, I love that channel. I've been following that channel for a long time, and I love them. And they are part of this whole event, or they're sponsoring it or something. But I cannot wait. And it's right in my state. So I love that. So I appreciate everyone's patience. People, like you said, that you've arrived when you have a spammer in your chat. So I guess whoever jumped in, y'all have arrived. So, but we're all here. Good morning to anybody who just came in. We're just getting into this. Cena Renee, apartment still. Hey, hi, Diane, the Cannon Nana. I appreciate you helping me. Cindy Wirtz, thank you. You're never late. Always good. Kathleen Elliott, Andrea, hello. Grace and Fire, thank you. Thank you. She said, we got you. Vin Lago, hi. Kathy Ann, the vinegar tip, yes, for sure. Vinegar is good. I love vinegar. Have I missed anybody? If I did, Belt Loop 29, hey there. If you know, if I missed you, you already know it's not intentional. Okay, don't walk away from here thinking that. We had some moderator drama this morning a little earlier, and we just had to get ourselves together, but we're here. Y'all, we're here, aren't we? Let's do this. All right.
So, the other thing I would like to throw up, just because I see a comment earlier. I love that.
Get me some fruit trees, okay? Thank you.
Bobby, right. I want my dragon fruit still.
Well, I have a question in my chat. Can we use distilled water to keep the crust off the jars? Go ahead. I think that would be an excellent idea.
If you want to pay for it, go ahead. Or if you have it, I mean, if you have access to it, why not? What I was going to say is when we were talking about the chicken earlier, I mean, way earlier in the conversation, Tanya Logan had made a point. She said she'd like to give advice on chicken wear gloves. She had a cut on her finger and didn't wear gloves. She had to be cleared through the CDC because of a blood infection. You have to be careful about everything you do because you just have to be careful. I mean, I'm not trying to scare people, but just use common sense. If you got a big cut on your hand, why would you not cover it and protect it? And on top of it, it's actually contaminating your food the opposite direction. So why would you do that?
Even if you weren't canning, this is just common sense, safe food preparation, whether you're canning or not. Having clean, sanitized surfaces, starting off with clean hands, that's key, so that you don't end up in the bathroom or the emergency room because you didn't handle your food properly. So we are kind of starting this discussion, assuming that you're going to use common sense measures in preparing your surface. Start with a clean, sanitized surface, properly, make sure that your proper storage of your meats and before you prepare them. You don't leave your chicken out on the counter and then for 6 hours and then start canning. I mean, we are kind of hoping that y'all already understand those basics, because we can do a whole food safety series. That's a whole nother conversation.
And that's something I would like to do sometime.
I would too.
I think it's important. It's an important part of the process.
It is. In fact, I read it, and I read an article about that from a chef that talked about where to store things in your refrigerator, from the purposes of like what shelf foods should be on, even that. So we can really take a deep dive into that later, because there's always something to learn. And so there we go. Blue self-reliance. Man, did I miss playing with? Oh, yes.
Yep.
It was sorted out. These trolls. But anyway, we're gonna get back into it. So LeAnne, where did you leave? Do you remember where you left off? Because we kind of got off track a little bit.
Talking about just getting the canner ready and understanding how much water to put in, checking the seat. You gotta make sure the wheels are lined up. You gotta make sure your steering wheels, you gotta make sure your vessel is ready to go before you get started. Because there's nothing worse than getting your canner up to full steam and you realize you're leaking water out the side of it because your gasket's no good. Ask me how I know.
How do you know?
It's from life experience. Tony's, I can see there's a delay now. But anyway, then you just got to make sure you got depending on if you're raw packing or hot packing your food, you got to make sure your jars are hot.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah.
What's raw packing versus hot packing?
Hot packing is making sure your food is hot to begin with before you put it in the jar. Okay. Like I prefer hot packing a lot of stuff. Minus green beans and peaches, I virtually put everything in hot pack.
Okay.
Like chicken, I prefer to be baked before instead of raw pack now. You just want to make sure your product is good and hot, because when it's pre-cooked, you're going to have less air in it and there'll be less chance of siphoning, and there's more chance of it to actually seal and be good.
If it's hot packed. Okay. And do the canning guides talk about hot packing versus raw?
Like I know in my Presto manual, it will tell you if you have it hot packed, you can do it for this amount of time, and if you raw pack it, it's this amount of time.
Okay.
So let me find
well, and it makes sense. It's putting it in cooked versus raw. That's essentially what that means. Okay.
Let's see if I can find.
Tony's holding up his book, so
that book would tell you what you need to know too. So
we're going to repeat what we keep saying is that get this guide, the most recent version. Check out the website. The links have been in the chat. so that this is going to give you a taste of what's to come in your journey of researching canning. Don't just use this video. Read the book, apply the principles, read the book multiple times, watch the replays multiple times, and that way you get to see LeAnne's cat, who's like awesome right there. So just watch the replay so you can, if for nothing else, so you can see her cat.
I
So
think another thing that's important too, and mouse toes. So I'm just letting you know, Leanne. I think mouse toes is politely scolding you. her
What did
her
I
belief
do?
is her belief is you need to talk the lingo. You need to know what your parts are on your equipment. You
Well,
called it a
yeah.
blowhole. It's a vent pipe. So her
oh,
point being is that, which I agree with her, you got to know what you're talking about. Not that you don't, but the proper terminology. Because if I'm talking to Carla, who has no idea, she's going to start calling it the blowhole hole instead of the vent pipe, which is what it is. So I get the point. So I just would stress, go to your manual and learn what your parts are, so you
Mhm.
can
okay. Well,
easily have a conversation with somebody about it. So.
speaking, Nightbot must have picked up on the blowhole discussion
Oh
because he says,
Lord,
"What do
sorry,
you call your friend who stands in a hole?"
Phil.
Phil.
I get it. That, yeah.
Nightbot is funny, but anyway, um, that goes to another point. Once you figure out the proper canning equipment based on your stove specifications, again, we talked about this earlier. Then when you get your canner, read the manual. It should tell you all the different parts of the canner and what the names of them are, the proper names. Read your manual, read
As well as
your
maintenance of your equipment too.
exactly.
So
Read your manual, read your guide. You're not going to learn everything from YouTube chats. You're going to have to do your own, YouTube live streams. That's a part of it. But you need to take that time and do your own deep dive into it so that you can safely can your food. But these series,
I actually I put it out as an analogy, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but
no,
it's kind of
no.
like a cast in a movie. Okay, you going and doing your own research, you're the star of the show. Okay, all these things we're doing and the books we show you and the live chats you do, they're just supporting actors. That's all they are. But in
Right.
order to have a great motion picture, you all got to come together and work on it together to make it work right. That's the best analogy I can think of.
Amen. Amen. And you're right about Luke 29. Mouse toes is cool. But we've got so many cool people in this in our family who do so many different things, and we can learn from each other. It's like fantastic. I just love my family. I love everyone who is here supporting all of us. We're a family. Okay, so we're here. My look, I had a ran. Oh my gosh.
We got another attack again.
Um, can
They'll jump on it. It takes them a second.
yeah, because they're from another channel. So that y'all
Yep.
are
My
y'all
mom
are
got it. Who I
okay.
just
Yeah, it's not on
nominated,
mine.
just took care of
So.
it. We got it.
Good gracious.
Hey. See,
So
that's the importance of having people right there that know what they're doing, because they'll do it. They'll squash it. So
And that way you can keep talking.
okay, so let's keep going. Let's keep it moving.
Yep.
All right. So we have talked about what you should do foundationally, getting the proper supplies, reading the manual and going to the website, understanding the equipment that's suitable for your stove, understanding the parts. So now we're ready to can. So let's say for a new canner, I think the most important thing, and I talked about this um, on your live the other night, Tony, when y'all were talking about the gardening community. And I said, gardening is very forgiving. So new gardeners don't need to feel discouraged if stuff dies. But guess what? That's life. Keep it moving. Try again. That's what I always say. You know what? Some stuff is going to die. I used to start out with gardening, and I'm getting to my point. It's going to tie with canning in just a second. I was so obsessed about stuff living, and if it didn't, I've been relatively new to gardening, even though my dad was a gardener. for years. So I grew up with canning and growing food, but I didn't actively get into it till around the pandemic. So if something died, I took it personally. I'm like, I, I can't. But I toughened up, and it's like, listen, I'm gonna try again. That didn't work. Let's keep going. So to my point, canning is not as forgiving in the sense that if you can't just be fast and loose with canning like you can with like gardening. I might plant stuff. The manual might say plant 6 inches apart. I might plant 3 inches apart. Okay, if it doesn't work out, ooh, okay, I'll take that and move on. You don't want to do that with canning. Canning,
Right.
you want to follow your instructions. Because it is less forgiving and it can harm you. That's why gardening gives you a whole lot of wiggle room to mess up. Don't be afraid of it. Canning, recognize that you're going into that this is a science, and take your information and apply it to your practice. And you have a wealth of information, and you have people who are here for you to help you do it the right way. So that was my whole point, that yes, the gardening and the canning community are connected, but for those new to gardening, don't be discouraged. You can mess it up. With canning, not so much. And that's where you want to have, you know, people to help you who have been doing this for a while. All right, LeAnne.
I want to add to that and just say it's life experience. Just go ahead and do it. What are you afraid of? What is the worst thing can happen?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Right.
like seriously, you just start doing it. So with pressure canning, you want a checklist. You want to make sure you got this done, this
Love
done,
that.
this done. That way, excuse me, I got a naughty cat.
I love the checklist idea. I live by checklist. Do you actually have one, or maybe I could
I don't,
create?
but I know I can probably do that. You
Mhm.
just make sure, even laminate it and just do a dry
Yeah.
erase, because you're going to do the same steps over and over again. Just
Right.
make sure you're wiping your rim, debubbling, and washing your jars, keeping them hot, and getting your canner to a certain temperature before you start if they're
Mhm.
hot.
Mhm.
And after a while, it's like riding a bike. You know how to do it. It's just the
Mhm.
first couple times, Tony, you know how it is.
Mm-hmm.
You need to phone a friend
Yeah.
and
You
say it's gonna be okay, because your pressure canner is designed not to blow up anymore. They have
Mm.
safety features on them now with that
Yeah.
plug. The worst thing can happen is that plug go and just a bunch of steam like your Instant Pot. That is the
Mm.
worst thing that's gonna happen. They're
Mm.
designed to lock
That's so
on.
good to know.
They are designed to lock on. That those lids, if it's so much pressure, they will not come off. Like,
Right.
there has to be, a little bit of steam in there for it to even unlock.
Mm.
So, just understanding those mechanics, you will be okay.
That is
Yeah.
so reassuring to all of us who think about the nightmare that you're standing at your stove, and then the next thing you know, you see a still of the outside of your house, and it's like boom. It's like not. That's not what. But those are the ideas and images that keep people from doing it, because they're like, this sounds scary. I don't understand it. You're certainly helping to diffuse that fear, but balancing it with common sense
Mm-hmm.
about what we need to do to make sure that we don't have disasters in the kitchen. So
And it's
once,
just
yeah,
it's just about being awareness,
yes,
being focused. You shouldn't have like kids in the background like screaming la di da 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 and playing tag.
right,
No, you need silence and just being focused. No, I
yes,
wouldn't even put TV on or anything like that. Well, obviously
mm-hmm,
I can't. But anyway, you don't want distractions. You just want to focus.
mm-hmm,
Like you're
yes.
like you're focusing on the SATs or something. You want laser
Mhm.
focus.
That's what I'm talking about. Get that information, focus in it. Like you said, read this book more than once. I know I'm going to read it multiple times before I like take a deep dive in. But I found a water bath recipe that Cassandra did with some onions. Speaking of, so let's go back talking about the methods. We're talking about pressure canning today. You really helped me as far as recognizing that the new equipment is really safe and really designed that if you follow the instructions, which are provided, you'll be fine. They
Mm-hmm.
give you everything. These books give you everything you need, every detail exactly how to do it. So you can do it. I mean, it's so clear. Um, Now, Lazy Days Ahead said that the USDA recommends that pressure can and gauges be tested every year for accuracy. So how do you test those? Where do you go about getting that done?
Your
So,
local extension office.
Okay.
If you have one, there's only 23 states that have extension offices anymore
Hmm.
because it's
Hmm.
based from the land grant schools. Like here in
Yeah.
Pennsylvania, I have Penn State.
Hmm.
So
mhm.
you would go to, which mine happens to be 13 miles from me. I thought I would never be able to do it because I'm in a little rural area. No, my county actually does it.
Oh, yeah.
What
I,
happened?
we, I believe that Virginia does have that now. If office states don't have cooperative extension offices, is there an I wonder if there's an alternative in those
So,
states.
so the alternative I know of is that you can also take it to your hardware store, and some automotive places you'd have to check with them because all you're doing is checking to make sure that gauge is correct. It's not part of the canning process itself to have somebody come in and do it that way. It's the gauge you're having tested. Okay. So that can be completed if I'm correct, and I believe I am because I know Mouse Toes has talked about it. You
Hmm.
can take, and I know other people have done it too. Usually you can take it to a hardware store, they can test the dial gauge. Okay.
Okay.
Don't
Yeah.
take it off your lid, but take the lid in there, and then they have a way to do that. Some
Okay.
automotive places can do the same thing if there is no other choice. Some
Okay.
extension offices will ask you to mail it to them. So you got to figure out what that is and how to do it. But I do agree it should be done, especially if you're a seasonal canner, meaning you don't can year round. Every new season, you want to make sure that equipment is correct.
Okay. So now I'm going to go back to Joel's question, which I had put up on the board on the screen, but um, I just saw Suburban Hillbilly mention that his extension office didn't even know what they were talking about as far as gauges, whereas this
And some
office.
of them don't.
So it, Granny Prepper. So sorry that you got to go. We are so happy you're here. Let's stay connected. Be blessed. We're gonna be wrapping it up soon. We just had some technical difficulties here, and we weren't able. We had and some spammers that were trying to keep us from living great, but not going to happen. So it depends on your extension office, just as Suburban Hillbilly said that they didn't even know what he was talking about. But as
Right.
you mentioned, Tony, there are other ways that you could get that done.
Yes. I
Okay.
think your best bet is number one, find out if you have a cooperative extension office. If you don't, then that's when you need to go to the hardware store or possibly a mechanic to see what you need to do. I know Mouse Toes has talked about her husband made one. I'm not recommending everybody go out and do that, but she knows
Mhm.
what she's doing, and Vern knows the mechanical part of it. So I think that's great that they could do that. But
Mhm.
I would try to get a hold of your extension office. If they have no clue what you're talking about, I would
Mhm.
call another state's extension office just to say, hey, I'm running into this problem. Is there any recommendation of what I
I have
can
a
do?
spammer in the chat, y'all. I need somebody to help me.
Oh,
Cindy in my
by the
chat saying how there's a Mennonite store in our state that actually will test them too. So,
Okay.
right.
and it's a big department store actually, but they have a big section on canning, which I absolutely love, and just go in there and just like Stevie Wonder. It's so big.
Oh, I like
Oh,
Stevie Wonder.
like
I
they
love
have every gadget possible.
That's awesome. Okay, thank you, Mouse Toes. I appreciate it. I love my moderators. Y'all are like lifesavers. This is really today has been just a weird day. So one thing I would say about what LeAnne was talking about as far as to add to, figure out what you like to eat and can that and learn the safe way to can it.
But also make sure there's a recipe for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And make sure there's a recipe. There's a
Because
recipe.
a lot of new canners will think, well, maybe I can just can my spaghetti sauce. Well, it
Mm-hmm.
has to have a certain ratio of tomatoes to onions to peppers. Like
Mm-hmm.
it has to have that certain acidity level, and you got to make sure your tomatoes are heirloom, and making sure you put plenty of lemon juice because your recipe you're not going to realize you need to put enough acidity in it to make sure if you're only water bathing it. So
earlier, Jewel Oliver asked whether Mrs. Wage's mixes were okay to use.
yes.
Awesome. Matter of fact,
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. We've had the conversation of what would be the easiest thing to do. You want to know the easiest thing to do? Mrs. Wage's packages. Any of their products are tested. They give you instructions on how to can, because they're not intended. Hear me out on this. I'm just trying to make this so you understand. Those packages are meant so that you can make a quick version of something. Okay.
Right.
They've been tested, they're approved and everything, but at the bottom of it, it gives you instructions on how either to refrigerate or can that product. And it goes through the process, tells you elevation variations, things like that. It's perfect because you don't have to worry about the spicing or any of it. I'm actually going to do a video on that for today or tomorrow. And all it asks for is either 6 pounds of tomatoes or 3 cans of diced, six cans of diced tomatoes and the package. I have to add my sugar and I have to add a little lemon juice. That's it. That's all I got to do.
Awesome. That makes it a lot easier.
Point. It is so easy to do. It's an approved method of doing it, and it gives you practice without ruining a lot of product, if that makes sense.
So if I have a question, if I wanted to follow a recipe in the Ball book, for example, let's say I'm canning spaghetti sauce. Like, if I want to add a little bit more oregano or thyme, does that throw everything off, or can you be liberal with your spices, or do you need to follow the recipe exactly as it is and then maybe enhance it when you open it to cook it to eat? You can spice it up.
I would wait and add more, because you never know, because you're putting it into a big batch. You never know if you might want a different spice altogether when you. It's safer that way, just to add when you open it.
Perfect. So the best practice is to follow the recipe exactly. Even if you would say, look, I would add way more garlic or pepper than that, do that after the fact. Just like the jars you get from the store, I always enhance what I buy from the store.
Right.
So,
and I think that's a valid point, because in reality and practice, we all do that anyways. We get a jar of something or a can of something, and we're usually modifying that flavor anyways. This is not saying you're doing anything out of the ordinary. It's just you canned it. Now you're adding the spice to it. Not a big deal.
And Suburban Hillbilly said some spices get bitter.
They
Very
do.
good point.
Yeah.
That's an excellent point, because I was struggling with that. I was like, well, this is not my mama's recipe or my daddy's chili recipe or what, ooh, I want to be able to open that and have this yummy. Well, I can have that. Once I open it, I can enhance it, and that's going to be the best way.
Right.
So that is an excellent point. So in the process, LeAnne, you help dispel the fear about the pressure canners. So as you said, having a checklist, and I will talk to you about maybe creating something like that, because I thrive on checklists that we can share with the community as a guide to get started. What do you do to get started? First thing, do you have your book, and did you read it? And did you read are you following a Ball or a tested, trusted recipe? That would be, the very foundational part of the process of where you get started. You're welcome, Jewel. It was a very good question, because I have some of that Mrs. Wages as well. So I was wondering about it. I just bought it when I didn't understand it. It was in the section at Walmart, and I was like, So I'm glad to know it's safe. And I know Andale Homestead had given away some Mrs. Wages in one of her lives, and she also has some experience with steam and canning and water bath canning. So, LeAnne, do you remember where you left? So let's we'll wrap it up. We've been on a little longer than planned, but all of these sessions have gone a little longer just because the topic, it deserves some time. I understand it's a Saturday during gardening and harvest season, so it's a busy time for everyone, and I respect that. So those who are listening who weren't able to join the chat, welcome. We love you. We thank you for your support. If everyone would remember to hit the like button wherever you're watching, hit the like button. Let's subscribe to each other's channels. Let's stay in this family, y'all, because we're a family together. We are here, and we're here for you. So, LeAnne, we could.
Yes.
So, if what's one of your favorite things to pressure can, and why?
I mean, as in just being a process to can
Um,
or to eat.
well, both, because they're all regardless of what you're putting in the canner. There's steps you have to take beforehand, and then, but once they're in the canner, depending on what you're canning, determines how long your it cans or what have you. The process is different depending on what you're canning. Is what I was trying to say.
Like the easiest thing for me to can is meat because you're just,
Oh.
I mean, more or less, you're just getting it from the store or your
Mhm.
freezer and thawing it
Mhm.
out if you have to from the freezer, and just cutting it up and either baking it or boiling it and getting it hot, or even just raw packing it. And then you're
Mhm.
just putting it. It's already ready to go in the jar. I
Yes.
mean, and then you're already off to the races and putting it in the canner. I
Mm.
mean, it's really easy.
Okay. Well, that's a great. Where would you recommend someone start who's new? I open up my All American pressure canner, and I've read the instructions. I've read my book. I've decided, um, okay, I'm ready to do this. What would you recommend? Would you think meat would be where I should start?
I would start with water.
Okay.
There's that light bulb moment already.
It is. This is a light bulb moment. Please do tell. Please tell me.
Like just to get your feet wet. I mean, Tony did potatoes, which is probably just as good because
Mm,
he was more concerned about stuff. But if
mm.
you're really like just wanting to do it, the process, water is cheap.
Yeah, it is.
And you can always use it for, emergency situations like watering plants if you don't have water at the moment. I mean, it's sterile. I mean, it's going to taste flat,
Amazing.
but if you just want to do the process, water is your best bet.
Mm,
I agree. Actually, I
amazing.
do.
I
It can,
What
never heard that.
my issue when I first started, and I did it this way, is because I'd rather spend $3-4 on a bag of potatoes than I would on a 50 pound or $50 package of meat and waste it. So
Mm,
to me, it was best to do it that way. But I do agree with LeAnne. If you're just trying to get the practice down, and I would say the
mhm,
same thing for water bath canning. If you just want to get the practice down, do water. You're not losing anything. You're not out of anything. The only thing is you're going to have a hard time seeing a siphoning. As when siphoning happens, you can see it actually in the water where you wouldn't if you used water. But you're going to
mhm.
see the difference in the headspace. It's going to drop down, so you'll know whether you have it or don't. Okay. So my point is exactly what she said. It's the easiest, the cheapest, and the just getting the practice down. It's probably the best thing to do is just use water a couple times and get used to it.
because
That is
the worst
excellent.
with pressure canning your first time, you're
Mhm.
more or less trying to calm your nerves down more than anything and can't think straight. Like your
Yes.
world's coming, you're circling and you're breathing heavy. So just doing the process, like I know
Yes.
I have anxiety issues. Can you
Yes.
tell?
You are
It's
right there. You are like like you just went right into my brain. Yes. Yes.
you just need to stay calm,
The thing, the thing
kick the
that's
family
important is
out.
that the thing that's important is I was just sitting here thinking, and I told this to Grace when I was on the phone with her or Glenda the other night. I had sweat beads going down my forehead when I did it because I was so stressed out. We all do it. The first time around, we all get to that point.
We have
I
a
have not,
spam.
in all honesty. Oh,
It'll come up soon. Y'all will see it.
yeah.
I know y'all don't
I
see it yet,
I don't.
but
My
we have.
chat is gone, so it disappeared. I don't know what happened to it. So,
They're in
anyways,
mine. They're in mine.
okay,
There's a bunch coming up, y'all.
okay.
So
But what I was saying was that I haven't heard of a person that said, "Oh yeah, I walked in and did pressure canning the first day and it was perfect." Never heard of
hmm
it. Not happened.
yeah,
Not
well,
one.
I've never heard of using water, and that's the first thing I'm gonna do. And I want to welcome Janice Hannah from Virginia. And so we are all happy you're here. Between all of our channels, we are committed. Thank you, Mouse Toad. Woo. We are committed to helping our family, because you all are our family, live safely, live to save money, to preserve and protect your family with properly preserved food. That's because we love you. That's why we're here. And that's why we need to be out in our gardens, which is what I'm about to be doing. I got half of it done, but I've got some stuff to finish. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up. I think that the takeaway here for me was, again, and we've been saying this every week, read your book, read your guide, do your research, understand the equipment you're using. And a good first start would be pressure canning water. Excellent, excellent tips.
I mean, it's good
Excellent.
exercise. Your heart rate's going to be up. So,
Again, I would also stress water bath canning too. If you're new to it and you want to try it, never done it before,
Right.
There's nothing wrong with doing water as well. So either one, steam canning, do it too.
I don't understand why more people don't pressure can. I think it's a necessity just to be able to preserve food and have it on your shelf, because everybody has emergencies when it comes to income. Like, you don't know when you're going to lose your job. You don't know when you're going to have a medical problem where you are going to be out of work for so many weeks. You might live in hurricane season areas. You might live where there's earthquakes or where the power gets shut off for some reason. You need to be prepared. And having food on yourself that's canned is a great way to prepare yourself.
I agree.
Amen.
So we need to get to pressure canning.
I think it really just comes down to the anxiety, the preconceived anxiety. It's not even the real anxiety. I think it's we're all freaked out, and they're really, with all the safety measures in place, and worst case scenario things happening, a plug is going to pop out the top of the pot. That's the worst thing that probably is going to happen because of that auto safety thing. But we all got it here, and we're all like, I have not heard of that happening with the new equipment, so I don't see where there would be a problem.
And to add to that, I'm sorry.
Yeah. No.
It's never going to get that high of a pressure if you follow the procedures on how to turn your stove on and gradually build up your heat. Because I never go past mid-high heat when I'm canning. Yes. You just want to slowly, gradually build your steam pressure up to medium-high heat. And then when you start seeing it go to where it's supposed to be, you just gradually back down your heat on your stove and be able to maintain that, 11 pounds of pressure or 10 pounds of pressure, or whatever you might need. So your canner is never going to be put on high. Everybody hear me. Do not ever put your canner on high. I did it once, and my mom didn't explain that to me because she doesn't have all her marbles anymore. But I'm glad I figured that part out for myself. Never put it over medium-high heat, and you'll never have your canner blow up.
Well, that's an important question. Jesse wants to figure out how he can get Lisa to can Skittles.
Jesse also said, LeAnne, your feet will only get wet if the lid doesn't seal in canning water. So I thought
I love it. Okay, so I want to give someone today this canning guide. I know one thing for sure, and I don't know but how late I am, but there may be another spammer in the chat. Listen, I'm new to these YouTube streets and live streaming, and I've heard that when you get a spammer in your chat, that's like, woohoo, you're there. Well, I don't know, but I don't like seeing it, and I apologize that it's in there, but we're going to keep it moving here, y'all. We already know what that's about. We're not going to give them too much space or time. So I want to give someone a canning guide today. If I can give you the gift of education, it's something that's going to change your life and take you on a path towards food security and food preservation, then that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. So I want to do that today. But okay. Thank you, Mouse Toes. Thank you. Yes, Kathleen said she wants to know about how to can Skittles as well. And I thank you for all my moderators who've greeted people who have come into the chat. Thank you so much. Yes, our moderators are amazing. It is just
Hey, thank you very much, you guys.
we appreciate you more than you know. We appreciate you. So,
Carla, just in case you didn't know, LeAnne's known for her signs. So
oh, well, I'm learning and I just love it all. I love everybody's quirks. Yeah, here, hit the like button, family. If we're not connected on YouTube, let's get connected with everybody in the chat, including our channel. Let's get connected. Okay. You're home here. We love you. And so if y'all were in here in person, I'd try to feed you. Because if I like you, I'm gonna try to feed you. If I don't, you need to check your life. If I don't try to feed you, something's going on with you. I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna try to feed you. And whether that's good information or actual food, that's what I'm here for. That's what we're both here for. So anyway, let's start out. I don't know how to use Nightbot to pick a person in the chat yet. I'm going to ask
I think
Cherie
you
how.
have to have a code and have to already had it entered.
Yeah, I don't.
Sandy,
Yeah, I don't
Sandy
know
is
it.
suburban. I can't remember the name of her channel.
Suburban Homesteader, Wyoming, Arizona.
She's the one that knows how to do it.
Okay, I'll figure that out. But right now, let's see, LeAnne, can you pose a true or false question to the chat about something we've been talking about today? That, from our discussions, and we can make it easy, but if you could put something in the chat, a true or false, someone's going to win this complete guide to home canning. I'm going to get this to some lucky person today. I wish I could give it to everybody in the chat, but y'all, we have the links in the chat, so you can get the book yourself. Lori Trotter, thank you. Thank you.
I got an easy one. I don't know why you don't ask me. Is my head half full or half empty?
Tony, I thought I asked you to do a true or false on another day. Did I? You are full of knowledge. You are, yeah. So, LeAnne, do you have a? Let's make it easy for our folks on this.
I'm trying to.
All right. Do you want me to do it, like from my standpoint of a new canner?
Sure.
Okay. Because this was one of the. So here's the true or false, everybody. Okay, and we're getting this book. Let me put my email up here so that you all can contact me when the winner wins, gets their book. All right, I'll put my email up there. Okay, so here's the email. All right, true or false? I'm about to can my some meat, some spaghetti sauce. Well, can you first, before I do this, true or false? No. I'm about to can some spaghetti sauce. And I'm using the bowl recipe that calls for a teaspoon of pepper. But I know that I want my sauce to have a little bit more kick. So I'm going to add some pepper, some thyme, oregano. It's not in the recipe, but I think it'll be good. True or false? All right. We already have a winner.
I can't see the chat, so you'll have to let me know because I can't see it.
Got it. Uh-oh. I'm always clicking the wrong one.
It was Psalms 143, 147.
It's Psalm 146 for sure.
Oh, I made a new number.
It's Psalm. It's just that my chat's being silly. The first person to answer correctly was Psalm 146. Why? Because you don't want to add extra spices to your canning recipe. Follow your canning recipe exactly as it indicates in your recipe. And then once you open that jar to cook it and reheat or whatever you're doing with it, you can spice it up and add what you want. Because we've learned in the chat that there are certain herbs and things that can be bitter. It could change the taste. Congratulations, Psalm 146. I'm so happy. So glad that you, woohoo, y'all. Congratulations, everybody. Congratulations
Hey.
on 146. I'm really excited for her. I'm for every person that gets this book, I'm so happy. I got this book from my friend Tony, and it's like my Bible. My Bible is over there, this book, and my ball canning book. I keep them close along with my Baker Creek seed catalog, which is like the most beautiful thing. That's like a work of art. Do y'all have that catalog? It's like 200
No,
pages of pure art. If you have never
I'll have
seen the Baker Creek seed catalog, it is a masterpiece. And it is one that you will keep. You're not going to toss that. You're going to keep it. And then you're going to look at the amazing things to grow, and you're going to be just low key obsessed. Okay.
I love it.
So,
Love it.
yeah, it's awesome. So, congratulate everybody. Congratulate Psalm 146. I want to thank our guests for being here because they're amazing. LeAnne, I can't
Thank
wait to
you.
meet you in person. And
Oh
Tony,
yeah.
I need to get you on the East Coast, or I may, you know what? If my daughter has it her way, she might be going to school out there near you. So you never know. We'll see.
Give me a ring. No.
Yeah, yeah. That might be happening. So anyway, before we go, let me put my email in the chat for you, Psalm 146, so you can, if you didn't see it, let's see. Okay, so there's our email, Psalm 146. Email me, and it's going to be coming to you from Amazon. Easy peasy. You'll have it in a few days. And again, all the resources have been. I know, Suburban Hillbilly, that seed catalog will get you in trouble. It will get you in trouble. Wait till y'all go see it. Go to the website. It's a
Well,
work of art. The most beautiful. They go all over the world sourcing seeds, sourcing heirloom, rare, exotic seeds. They go into the history. It really is it's not just your seed catalog. This is like an educational journey, and it's absolutely beautiful. And I'm happy to say that Baker Creek was one of our sponsors, because one of the things that we do is grow food, but we also teach people how to grow food. And our passion is teaching kids how to grow their own food through our grow camps. And Baker Creek was a wonderful sponsor for us and sent us a case of seeds and materials that we were able to share with our soil family and with our gardening community at the Soil Family Expo. It was amazing.
I
It's a
think
part
that's
of
awesome.
It was wonderful. This is our family. This is our family. So, everybody, I want you to have a wonderful week. Before we go, does anybody have any good news to share with us in the chat? Tell me something good. Let's walk out of here with happy hearts about us being together, being connected as a family, and growing in our knowledge, because that's what not all families do, but healthy families. And we're a healthy family. So, anybody that has any good news to share this week, you got something good in your garden growing. I got my first cucumber, because we were late putting our garden out this year because of a lot of our schedule and travel. So I was a little concerned that things weren't going to take off exactly like they were. And then I said, you can't worry about it. You just harvested enough garlic to feed the neighborhood and enough onions. You got an abundance. Focus on what you do have, and the things that aren't quite on track, they'll get there. And that's one of your garden life lessons. So anyone that has anything to share, some good news. It is good news that Juneteenth is a national holiday. Yes, it is. I am there for you.
Woo. Gas dropped 1 cent yesterday. Yeah. Oh,
What? I need to go where you are, Lazy Days. It didn't drop where I am. My
He's in
God.
Texas.
it's either here. It went up for me.
Oh wow. Okay, let's see here. Good news. My single seed challenge plant, my first ever. Ooh, I want to grow those. I have not grown cucamelons yet. I have the seeds. They're so cute. They're adorable. Oh, so they said, what is this? There are clouds in my sky today. They seem. Oh, Chris and Mary.
That is good news.
Hey, Chris and Larry. I enjoyed Chris and Larry at your live, Tony. That live was wonderful. And next
awesome
week, when Cassandra, becoming a farm girl joins us, you're going to be in for a treat. She is delightful. She's so fun and funny. We're going to connect. We realize we're both in the DMV area, and you're
Oh,
not
that's
that far, Leanne. You're just a
Nope.
little. So I'm like, road trip. I'm loving it. I love
Cassandra's
it.
coming here next week.
What?
Yeah.
So after the Soil Family Expo, I have been obsessed with connecting with real people, and like the Soil Family Expo was phenomenal in that the people you're watching on YouTube come to life, and then to see these people, they're the real deal. It's not a facade. These are the real wonderful human beings, and connecting like that just took my YouTube experience to a different level. This live streaming gives me a little taste of that, and that I can interact and see and talk and interact with the chat, and it's almost as good as the real thing. So I'll take this when I can, but when we can fellowship together, there's nothing like it.
Amen.
So let me make sure I didn't miss any good news. Oh, Barb, she said, that's awesome, Barb.
Oh, that's
Fourth,
cool.
the fourth time. That's it. Your garden will just keep on giving. Oh, look at those peach trees. I'm praying protection over those peach trees right now. No squirrel should come nigh your peaches. Ooh, gas under $4.95. We can get excited about that, huh?
Mind blowing.
Oh, Lord. Let's see. Winter. Wait a minute. What did I miss? I'm trying to miss. I don't want to miss any good news. In the garden. Oh, I got my early girl tomato finally starting to fruit like
cool.
that. That's it. That's it. That is wonderful. Let's see. Oh, I already did that one. I'm sorry.
I'm about to go dig up my first garlic I've ever planted that
That's see.
did rot. We'll
That's
hope to see if
awesome.
there's actually a bulb, but I'm going to see if there's actually, productive.
What are the tops doing on it?
They're dying.
Yeah, so it should be good. I was out there harvesting the garlic, had it drying, curing outside because it wasn't calling for rain. And guess what happened? You already know what happened.
It rained.
It rained. So I ran out and gathered it all up. But I had a fitted sheet on the table so when it rained, I just scooped it up and brought it in the house. So I had to do that like 3 times. But you gotta, I planted that in November. It grew over the winter, and I wasn't about to let it go to waste. I'm not here.
I paid $30 for mine, so I'm definitely hoping it's going to work.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, I thought I saw Ann Dale. Oh yes, very good, LP. Yes, hi,
Ann Dale's in the house. She's actually in the garage.
That smells good. Look,
garden, not garage. Wow.
I read Ann Dale's chat and said we're cooking fresh collards from the garden right now, and I said, that smells good. Like I could just smell those collards, and I'll be there in like 15 minutes. Okay, thank you kindly.
She's probably not that far from you.
She isn't, but hi. Oh my God. Let me tell you something. I love this woman. A Beautiful Nest, Home and Garden. If you have not been to her channel, she has the most wonderful content. Beautiful. It's beautiful and educational. And so I encourage you all to check her out. She's amazing. And she has this beautiful, a whole company where she makes bath candles and soaps and skincare products from the things that she grows, and it is wonderful. So welcome. Please catch the replay and learn everything that you can about this wonderful process. And we learn from each other. So I
understand that anxiety is real, and understand what it is, and just get it going on pressure canning.
That's right. That's right. If I miss anybody's good news, the Juneteenth celebration is wonderful news. And Trauma Mama said there's going to be a big celebration in Houston. That's awesome. Oh, listen to this. Thank you. First of all, Diane was one of the ones that helped me with the moderating earlier. But listen to this. Happy birthday, Chelsea. Everybody wish a happy birthday to Chelsea. She is listening. It's her 10th birthday. And guess what? That's my daughter's name. Oh my gosh, Diane. all of her grandkids know how to can. That's what I'm talking about. She's
Mhm.
passing that education on to her grandchildren. That's passing down generational knowledge so that they will do the same for their children. That's what this is about. So
Yep.
I am very happy. If I missed anybody's good news, let me make sure. But my good news is I was here with you guys today, that we got through our technical glitches and our trolls and we came out on top. Um, and look at this, y'all. There's another, we're all in the midst of good news and now we have a troll. So just I'm letting y'all know it's coming.
Keep
Anyway,
on
guys,
smiling and move on.
anyway, I love y'all. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Make sure that you like the broadcast, subscribe to our channels. Let's stay connected. I'm looking forward to working with you guys. LeAnne, the checklist, we'll work on that. We can
Mhm.
even talk about food, safe food handling series. I'm
Yes.
all for it. I'm all for it.
Mhm.
We can talk
I'm
about something called walk, swim, fly, which is the proper way to store meat in your refrigerator. We'll get into that later, but it's a walk, swim, fly we'll talk about it on another series.
Mhm.
Oh, listen to this. Let's look at okay. Here is from Bob King. His good
Oh
news.
yeah.
He moved out and bought his first apartment. That's a major deal. Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Diane. The bad news is his neighbors recently discovered Japanese knotweed. Ooh, I don't know anything about Japanese
I don't
knotweed,
either.
but I know what I do know is ragweed, and I found some ragweed growing wild in my yard, and like extremely allergic. So literally stepping outside, I'm like freaking out. But I use a essential oil blend of lemon, lavender, and peppermint in water, in a shot glass of water, and it's like a natural remedy for allergy issues. I might do a little short on it because it gives me immediate relief and it's natural.
I'm
LeAnne,
gonna, I'm gonna have to go. My husband's calling me.
we've got
And,
to go, guys. We're all gone. Enjoy the beauty of the day. I love you all. Thank you so much.
and
Catch the
thanks for
replay.
being here, folks.
Thank you all. Have a
Thank you.
wonderful day. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.